5 o'clock, guys. Vlogging on the balcony, vlogging on my balcony, vlogging on my balcony. Well, today's Wednesday. Just having some hot chocolate, guys. I've tried to find some tea, because I like tea. I'm English and I like tea, but I can't find any. I went to a Japanese shop today and it was mint tea. Mint tea. Dear me. So, but I did pick up some of these today. Croissant. Really nicely fresh, nice and crispy. I'm going to put some ham and cheese in here tonight for my dinner, and that'll be great. Antoinette's inside. She's just started her evening classes over English, so she just had her half bath and got herself ready. So today I went out, there's a couple of people I gave some food to because they were less fortunate than me, but I had some rice and some chicken. Yeah, very enjoyable. It was hot. I went to the central store down on JP L'Oreal. I did do a video of that, but it's so dark, it's like walking around in a cave, so I'm not really going to post that. But the shout goes out to one of my subscribers. He recommended that I should go to along JP L'Oreal to the central store, which I went to, and I got everything I wanted to get today, which is great. Normally I have to go to SM Langen and I queue, and I'm about 150 about 150 in the queue, and by the time I get to the door I am absolutely knackered. I have no energy, sweat is pouring off me. I've just done about 3 litres of water in the sun, but thank you very much, Humour from Davao. Great call, central store, JP L'Oreal. I got everything. I didn't take a shopping list as you advised me to do. I forgot. I wrote it, but I left it inside on top of the stove. Anyway, so carrying on from yesterday's video, from my blog yesterday, that I stopped work in London or in England, and I moved to the Philippines permanently. So a couple of people have asked on my messenger and on my Facebook, why did I make that decision? So I think there's some clarity that's needed there a little bit. So for about 8 to 9 years, going back to 2000, I used to come to the Philippines on holiday, and every time I was going home, I didn't want to go home because I enjoyed it so much here. Yes, the Philippines has problems, but every country in the world has problems. Just get used to it, guys. It's life, you know. There's young girls having babies back in my country at 12, 13 and 14, the same as they are in the Philippines, the same as they are in America, the same as they are all over the world. So it's just a learning curve. Some people are less fortunate that they have children. Other people don't have children, but they want children. But so I used to come back to London, and I used to work. So a couple of my jobs over the last 20 years were big numbered jobs, as in cooking for people. So I used to work on cruise ships, anything up to 15,000 meals a day, and I used to look after or travel on 5, 6, 7 different cruise ships a year, and that became too much for me. Irrespective of what people say to you, the older you get, the wiser you become. I don't think that's true. I think the older you get, you try to compete with the people that are younger, that are coming up in your profession, and you end up doing more hours because certain technology and certain things, i.e. iPhones, mobile phones, laptops, computer, digitalization has just moves on. I remember when I first started cooking that I used to have to go in and light the stove because there was no electricity and there was no gas. So I used to have to put coal into the stove to cook the stove, to get the stove hot so I could cook food in the hotel I first started at. 35 years later, that's electric on a cruise ship or gas in a large stadium. So life moves on. So when I was on the cruise ship, that's where I first met the Filipino people, because we used to, on the cruise ship, there used to be gaming people that were from the Philippines because they're very, very good at gambling. There were Philippine chefs, Filipina room service ladies doing the washing and housekeeping and duties like that. And they were always smiling, even though they had, they might have a family back home and they were missing their family terrible. They were still earning money to turn around and pay their family and send back, which I thought was exemplary. That put something in here, and it lodged in there and stayed in there since before 2000. And when I left the cruise ships, I had to turn around and find another job, and I found another job that was working for a major retailer, and that didn't work out. Once again, they wanted me to work stupid hours, go in at 4 o'clock in the morning and finish at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, get one basic salary. Well, the salary was for 8 hours a day, not for 20 hours a day, guys. So I decided to move on, and I ended up going to a large stadium in London, working for an American company. It's called Wembley Stadium. And I used to cook, or used to have to be responsible for 100,000 meals on an event. So if that was a football match, or that was an American football, or that was a soccer match, or that was a pop concert, or that was a religious festival, or that was the Indian Prime Minister coming to London, he used to surround and do a place to do speeches. So that was at Wembley. So I used to start around 4 o'clock in the morning and then work until around about 8 o'clock in the evening. But after 8 o'clock I would go home, and the next day it wasn't repeated because that event had finished. It was tidy up, clear down and get ready, and then plan for the next. So my working week was around 40 hours. Some weeks when the NFL came in from America, which we used to turn around and do a game on a Saturday, a game on a Sunday, do a game 5 days later, or we did a pop concert that went for 11 days or 9 days. Then it became a bit more difficult and a bit more strenuous. But I wasn't getting any younger. So when I first started at Wembley, we were doing like 24 events a year. Nice, a nice round sum. The year I decided to move on and retire and come and live in the Philippines, I did 51 events, and God, I was knackered. So the time in my life had come when work was killing me. I used to go home absolutely drained, and about 10 months before I moved to the Philippines, I had a car accident, and my car was hit by a lorry or a truck, and there were 9 cars involved, and I was the only one that ended up in hospital. I had to have an eye operation here, and I've got a metal plate in my eye and over my bridge of my nose. It's when my nose goes to the left, guys. It's because when I smashed my face into the dashboard and the steering wheel, when somebody rear-ended my car, it hurts. It bloody hurts, I can tell you that. And then when you wake up in hospital, and it still bloody hurts, and they go, you've got to go for an operation because my jaw, this side was going like this because all the bones had been broken, and I was going to be looking like this. So yeah, so I could contemplate and I could evaluate my life, and I put my life into perspective and said, right, it's either now or never. I could keep putting it off and say that little bit more money, that little bit more in the bank, that little bit more in the bank. But how much money do you actually need to enjoy life? I enjoy it here. I enjoy the Philippines. I enjoy Davao. I enjoy my life now. I don't have to go and work 18 hours a day, 12 hours a day. I don't have to turn around and go through that whole spectrum of jumping through hoops because the manager says he wants this, or one of the bosses said this. I always remember that an American guy came into Wembley Stadium, and we were in the middle of an event, and I think he was second or third at the top of the tree in this company, and he was standing there talking to my boss, and the conversation got on to, they'd just been into one of the restaurants. It was a fast food restaurant, and it had around 9,000 people queuing for food. Okay, 9,000 people queuing for food, and this guy from America turned around and said, the French fries are cold and the Coke is warm. And he looked at me and he goes, what are you going to do about it? I said, well, I'm not a Coca-Cola engineer, so I can't do anything about that, and the equipment you give me turns around and doesn't cook properly, so there's nothing I can do about it. We're still going to turn around and serve cold fries and warm Coke. Thanks a lot, bye. And off I went. On that event, we took £8 million. £8 million. If you times that by 65, that's the peso equivalent. That's how many millions and millions of pesos we took on that event. And this one man from America finds cold chips and warm Coca-Cola. He's part of queuing for 9,000 people. No, it's just bizarre. And that just turned around and said to me that, yep, it's time, let's get out of here. There's no thank you for the hard work you're doing, there's no gratitude, there's no, pat on the back or anything like that. It's just moan. Well, moan, sort your life out. It's your business, not mine. I can move on. So I did move on. That was it. Wasn't bitter, wasn't twisted. Was bloody happy, very, very happy, and it pays its dues. So that's one of the reasons. It was the length of time and the amount of work I was doing. There was no recognition anymore. The companies wanted more and more and more. And there's a saying on cruise ships, and it's called the bloods. So they're the passengers, and they bleed you dry because they want. And yeah, I work in a hospitality industry, but at the end of the day, I'm exactly the same as the person that's standing in front of me. So I decided time to close my door in England and move forward. Hard part for me was I decided to do that in July, and I planned to move out here the following July. So I arranged for Christmas lunch with my family, and we all went out for dinner and lunch, and I turned around, and Christmas in my country is very big that you go out, so I took my mother, my brother, my sister, and everywhere, and we all went for lunch, and that's when I turned around and said that this will be my last Christmas in the UK. Oh. So, shock to the family. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about your house? All of these questions. And I turned around and said, I will sell the house. I will get rid of this. I will get rid of that. I will get rid of this. And that's how that worked. And from January around till July, I spent time with my mum in her house. So I got rid of my house and I moved down with my mum, and I spent time with her, bonding and networking and getting her finances and making sure that she was okay. And then in October, I took my suitcase, climbed on a train at Shoreham Station after saying goodbye to my mum, my brother and my family, went to Heathrow Airport, caught a Philippine Airways flight to I caught a Singapore Airways flight to Singapore because they were the only ones doing a connected flight to Davao, which would give me my 40 kilos allowance on luggage. So I flew into Singapore, spent 1.5 hours at Singapore, then flew into Davao, arrived Davao around about 2000 hours, 8 o'clock in the evening on a Thursday, and then went to stay at the hotel I'd booked for 1 month. And I don't know if anybody's moved, but when you do decide you're going to move, you need to plan and you need to have things in place. So back in the UK, I'd organised my finances with a financial advisor. I'd set up funds and trusts and investments that would give me my living expenses until my retirement age. Because what you have to understand is in the UK, you retire at 66. In America, you can retire and take your social at 62. So there's a 4-year gap between what you can do in America and what you can do in the Philippines. In the Philippines, you can retire at 50. In the UK, you can't. You have to work to 66. So I've still got 3 to 4 more years living here on my savings before I can get my pension. I get my social security payments from the UK, which all got set up in that 6-month period with my financial advisor Stephen. Shout out to Stephen, thanks very much guys, and thank you for my birthday card, very enjoyable. But I have not got back to you yet, but I will. So I came here and then I started my life. So it was a hectic year of working and a hectic year of organising and selling everything and getting rid of everything so that I could move here. I didn't want to leave anything back in the UK that would pull me back to my previous life. My new life is here, permanent. That's what's going to happen, and that's what is happening. And Antoinette gets really frustrated and upset with me because I turn around and say to her, darling, we need to go down to the cemetery and talk about setting up the plot and buying the plot so that when I die you can throw me in the pot, the hole in the ground. I don't want to be cremated. I want to turn around and just be buried in the ground in the Philippines. As a foreigner, it's the only thing I can buy that has land. It's 6 foot by 4 foot oblong and it's 2 boxes deep, and I can have one of those in the Philippines. I'm not allowed to buy houses. I can buy condominiums, but who wants to buy a condominium when somebody else owns it? But I can't own freehold land in this country apart from my burials. My burial slot. Anyway, so that's a little bit about how I got to living here in Davao. I'm going to put some other videos on there today. My road's getting busy again. The guy on the gate's getting a bit crazy. There's been about 15 to 20 people out here today strimming all the high grass because it's about 3 to 4 foot high. So I've not been able to walk around the subdivision today because it's been really noisy. But anyway guys, like, share and subscribe. My life is beautiful here. There's nothing else I can say about it. I am going to travel more, I am going to travel more as soon as lockdown finishes. So I want to go down towards Ginseng and around the foot of what I call the foot of Mindanao, and then maybe go up through up towards Cotabato and Zamboanga. But let me see what the tourist police tell me that I can and cannot do. Yeah, because these things, I get these things in my head and then I just want to get off and go and do it. But there's a lot of things I have to take into consideration, i.e. like security and all the other things. But take care, enjoy my vlog, and from vlogging in the balcony, subscribe and share with your friends please. Take care.